Okay, 9-4. 9-4 is the quadratic formula. You need to be very, 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 very careful in this. You need to listen and you need to pay attention to your signs. If you lose a sign, you're going to get a wrong answer. Okay? The very one thing is understanding quadratics and understanding this is A, this is B, and this is C. And we know that is A because it's attached to the x squared. The x squared has nothing to do with it other than telling us that that's A. So this number right here is my A. So if I identify my A, it's -2. What's the number in front of the x? What's the number in front of the x here? 1. That's my B because there's only an x there. And my C is also 1 because that's my constant. Okay? Identify A, B, and C. You need to be able to do this. It's super important. It's super important that you use just the number that's in front, not anything other than that, and not any variables. If you use variables, you will be unhappy. Please do number 3. Come back and check your answer. I bet some of you have +7 for C. Look closely here. This original problem was equal to 7. These two problems are equal to 0. You need to make sure that it's equal to 0. So to do that, you would very easily just subtract 7 from both sides. So I just make this a giant minus sign equals 0. Okay? Or if you would add the number to both sides, I make it a giant plus sign and then equal to 0. Okay? Think about how you're going to solve that. You guys are good at this. So identify your A, B, and C. Now that you have done that, now you need to look at what's called the quadratic formula. It has a specific form. It's the opposite of B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. A being your A from the x squared term or the y squared term, whatever squared term it is, B with the x term, and C with the constant. Okay? So our first step is identify our A, B, and C, substitute it into our formula, then solve for all of our solutions or our x-intercepts, plug and chug. Plug in the numbers, chug out an answer. Okay? We always say this as opposite of B. Okay? This right here is the opposite of B. Right? That's important. It's also important that you know that this sign here means plus or minus. It means that I'm going to find the addition of this problem and the subtraction of this problem. So I'm going to separate the things out. So if we look at number 4, I've already done this for you, but I want to talk through it. I've identified my A, B, and C. My A is 1, my B is -8, my C is 12. Notice there's no X's on those. And then I plug in opposite of B, so B was -8, so it is 8 in this space. Plus or minus sign, don't forget that or you're going to be sad. The square root of B squared. Keep it in parentheses, especially when you put it into a calculator. It's never, ever, ever, ever going to be a negative number. It's always going to be positive because -8 times -8 is always going to be positive 64. When you multiply this here, when you multiply this, I want you to make sure that you use this as a -4. So I do -4 times 1 times 12. I know that Mrs. Kilgus and Mr. Lorette didn't always teach it that way. It helps my students have often gotten this sign right because they've used that. Whatever answer you get from that defines this sign. So I get -4 times 1 is -4. -4 times 12 is -48. So that's why this -48 is down here. So I've got my 64 minus 48, which is 4. Notice my 2A has just come following things down. Don't forget to write that, or you may forget to do it, okay? The square root of 4 is 2. So I've got 8 plus or minus 2 divided by 2. So I said you needed to separate that. So here's what that looks like. I need to separate out the addition of 8 plus 2 divided by 2 in the black. And I need to separate out 8 minus 2 divided by 2 in the green. And then do the math, okay? So you should get 10 divided by 2, which is 5, and 6 divided by 2, which is 3. Okay, that's number 4. I want you to set up number 5 before we get started, and then we're going to skip 7 and 8, just so you know. We're only going to do 5, 6, and 9. So set up number 5 before we get started. Okay, you should have had the opposite of B, which is negative 14, 14 in for your B, 3 in for your A, negative 24 in for your C, and a 3 in for your second A, okay? All you do is plug in the numbers. I'm hoping yours looks like that. Now, if you did the math, which I'm hoping you did, you should have got 484 here. 14 squared, negative 4 times 3 times negative 24 is going to be a positive number, so you're going to add those together. I believe it was 198, 298, and 169 maybe? Not sure. Add those together, you get 484. Take the square root of that number using your calculator. 484, hit the square root button, or square root button, 484, hit the equal sign. You should have got 22, and then you're going to separate that out. Negative 14 plus 22 divided by 6. Negative 14 minus 22 divided by 6. And then you should have got 1.3. You can get a decimal for an answer here. And for this other one, you should have got negative 6. Okay? So sometimes, like in number 6, I would like you to please go to that. Actually, I don't want you to look at that yet. I would like you to work out number 6. So plug in your A, B, and C, chug out an answer, and go from there. Be very careful when you are doing your underneath the square root, okay? Figure that out and come back. Get at least the part under the square root solved, and then come back and check it out. Okay, I'm hoping that you're great and get that answer. Here, you should get 1.3 repeating, and you should get negative 3, okay? I would like to talk about number 9, okay? Work out number 9. Tell me what you get for underneath your square root symbol. Okay, if you did number 9, you should that underneath our square root symbol, if you did the correct math, you should have got a negative number. You should have got negative 975. When that happens, you can stop working and you can just say no solution and you are done. So that is quadratic formula. Sometimes you're going to have a number, so on a lot of these, this one was negative, but on a lot of these, they've been perfect squares. So if you get one that's not a perfect square, you're just going to do 5 plus the square root of whatever number's in there that isn't a perfect square. Okay? All right. God bless. That is your notes for quadratic formula.